Good morning and welcome back to the trail. Today we are rolling into the biggest city in Minnesota, a place built on falling water, milled grain, and stubborn ambition. Under these wheels is the only city on the Mississippi that grew up around a waterfall, a city that once ground more flour than anywhere on earth. This is Minneapolis, and over the next stretch we are going to ride through 10,000 years of story, from a Dakota homeland to the flour milling capital of the world to the lakes and bridges you see around us now. So settle in and let us roll. Let me place us first. Minneapolis sits on the upper Mississippi in Hennepin County, straddling the river right where it drops over the only true major waterfall along its entire length. Across that river lies its twin, the capital, St. Paul, and together they anchor a metro of about 3.7 million people. The city itself is home to nearly 430,000, making it Minnesota's largest. But to understand why a city grew right here, on this exact bend of the river, we have to start with the water and with the people who knew it first. From above, Minneapolis is a city of water, the Mississippi cutting through its heart, a necklace of lakes strung along its southwest side, creeks threading between them. That water is not a backdrop here. It is the entire reason the city exists. Every skyscraper you see in that skyline traces back, one way or another, to the power of a single waterfall just upstream. But long before any of it, this was a homeland. This is the land of the Dakota people. The very name Minnesota comes from the Dakota, Mni Sota Makoce, the land where the waters reflect the clouds. Just downstream, where the Minnesota River joins the Mississippi, lies Bde, a place of deep meaning in Dakota tradition. For countless generations before the first mill or street, this was home, a landscape of river, prairie, and woodland known intimately by the people who lived here. Their language is still written across the whole city, in the names of its lakes and creeks, and in the name Minnesota itself. Take the largest lake in the city, Bde Maka Ska. That is its Dakota name, meaning Lake White Earth, and it is the name the lake carries today. Around 1829, the Dakota leader Cloud Man founded a farming village on its eastern shore, growing corn above the water. Now it is one of the most beloved lakes in Minneapolis, ringed with walking and biking trails, dotted with sailboats all summer, and joined by water to Lake of the Isles and Cedar Lake. It is the sparkling crown of the city's famous chain of lakes, and a perfect place to begin. Let us just ride for a moment. Listen to that, the tires, the water off to the side. It is easy to forget, gliding along a smooth parkway like this, that every one of these lakes and parkways was deliberately designed, shaped by hand into the ribbon of green we are riding now. We will get to the people who did that. But first, the waterfall that started everything. Let me take you to the falls. Here it is, the engine of the whole city, St. Anthony Falls. To the Dakota, it was Omni, turbulent water, a sacred place. It holds a unique distinction. It was the only true major waterfall on the entire Mississippi River, thousands of miles of water, and just one place where it fell. In 1680, a Franciscan friar named Father Louis Hennepin became the first European to record the falls, naming them for his patron saint. He did not discover them. He was a captive of the Dakota who led him there. But that falling water was raw power, and power in the 1800s meant industry. Before flour, there was lumber. The power of the falls first drove sawmills, cutting the great white pine forests of Minnesota into the boards that built the prairie, and Minneapolis became astonishingly good at it. By 1899, this was the leading lumber producer in the entire world, cutting nearly 600 million board feet in a single year. The last sawmill here closed in 1919, but by then, another industry had taken over the falls completely, one that would make Minneapolis famous around the globe. Flour. In 1880, Minneapolis passed St. Louis to become the leading flour milling center in the United States, and it held that crown for about 50 years. At its peak, around 1916, the mills here turned out over 18 million barrels of flour in a year, more than a fifth of all the flour in America. They called it the Mill City. The ruins you see here are the Washburn A Mill, once the largest flour mill in the world, and today the home of the Mill City Museum, telling the story right where it happened. But that power came at a terrible price. On the 2nd of May, 1878, the original Washburn A Mill exploded. Fine flour dust, suspended in the air, ignited, and the blast leveled the largest mill in the world in an instant. 14 workers inside were killed, and 4 more in the mills next door, 18 in all. The explosion was heard 10 miles away in St. Paul. Out of that tragedy came real reform, better ventilation and safety systems that changed milling everywhere. A memorial to the 18 was raised in 1885. The names that rose from these mills are ones you still know. Cadwallader Washburn and John Crosby formed Washburn-Crosby, and their flour won a gold medal at an 1880 exhibition, giving us gold medal flour. In 1928, that company merged with dozens of mills to become General Mills. Across the river, the Pillsbury A Mill was, for a time, the largest in the world. 2 milling giants born at one waterfall, and General Mills would finally buy Pillsbury in 2001. That sign glowing over the river is a monument to all of it. Feel the river under us here. This is the seam the whole city is stitched along. For a moment, forget the mills and just notice how the water organizes everything, the bridges, the parks, the downtown itself, all of it arranged around this one flowing line. It is worth remembering that Minneapolis did not start as one city at all. It started as 2, one on each bank, and how they came together is the next piece of the puzzle. On the east bank of the falls, a town called St. Anthony was platted in 1849. On the west bank grew a second settlement which took the name Minneapolis. For years they were rivals, two cities facing each other across the same waterfall, both hungry for its power. Finally, in 1872, they merged, with Minneapolis absorbing St. Anthony into a single city. One falls, one city at last. And that name, Minneapolis, is itself a small piece of history. In 1852, a schoolteacher named Charles Hoag proposed it, joining the Dakota word Mni, meaning water, with the Greek word polis, meaning city, water city. He first spelled it with a silent letter H, Minneapolis, which was quietly dropped. It is a hybrid name, half Dakota, half Greek, born of a waterfall. The county, Hennepin, honors that friar who first wrote the falls down for Europe. Now, one of the most beautiful things in the city, and we are riding right toward it. In 1882 and 83, the railroad titan James J. Hill built a great bridge across the Mississippi for his railroad, curving gracefully below the falls. In this old photograph, you can see it among the mills at the height of the milling era, smoke and stone and water all together. It is the only stone arch bridge on the entire Mississippi River, over 2,000 feet long, and it took just 22 months to build. And here it is today. The last train crossed the Stone Arch Bridge in 1978, and in 1994 it reopened as a bridge for people, for walkers and cyclists like us. Now it is one of the finest views in the city, the downtown skyline on one side, the falls and the old mills on the other, all framed through a century and a half of arched stone. A railroad baron's bridge, given back to the people on foot. But Minneapolis is not only mills and bridges. It is famously a city of parks, and that was no accident. Beginning in 1883, the city laid out what became the Grand Rounds, today a roughly 50-mile system of connected parks and parkways encircling the whole city. The founding vision came from a landscape architect named Horace Cleveland, who argued presciently that the lakes and the river and the falls should be preserved and linked together before the growing city swallowed them. It is one of the great feats of American city planning. If Cleveland drew the vision, one man built it out. Theodore Wirth, the park superintendent from 1906 to 1935, roughly tripled the size of the park system and shaped the chain of lakes we glide along today. Bde Maka Ska, Lake Harriet, Lake of the Isles, and the rest. He believed parks were not luxuries for the wealthy but everyday spaces for everyone. The largest park in the city now carries his name, and you can feel his hand in nearly every green space we pass. This right here is the payoff of all that planning, a working city lake, ringed by trail, open to anyone who wants to ride around it. Generations of families have learned to bike on paths like this one. It is a quiet kind of civic wealth, easy to take for granted. And just south of the lakes lies the most storied waterfall in the whole city, not the industrial one, but a romantic one, wrapped in poetry. Let me take you to Minnehaha. Minnehaha Falls. Where St. Anthony Falls powered industry, Minnehaha powered the imagination. Minnesota protected it as a park back in 1889, and today it draws millions of visitors a year. It is one of those rare places that feels wild in the middle of a major city, a 53-foot ribbon of water dropping into a wooded gorge, just minutes from downtown. And its fame owes an enormous debt to a single poem. In 1855, the poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow published the Song of Hiawatha, and it made the name Minnehaha famous around the world. Here is the twist, though. Longfellow never actually set foot in Minnesota. He wrote his sweeping, romantic epic entirely from a distance, from books and second-hand accounts. The poem is a romantic vision, not a history, and it is worth remembering the difference. But the name it carried, Minnehaha, laughing water, stuck to this place forever. Over at Lake Harriet, the tradition is music. A lakeside pavilion has stood here since 1888, though fire and even a deadly windstorm claimed several of them over the years. The bandshell you would see today dates to 1986, still hosting free concerts by the water all summer long. And a preserved stretch of the old Como-Harriet streetcar line still runs here, carrying passengers between the lakes just as it did more than a century ago. The lake, by the way, was named for Harriet Leavenworth, the wife of a fort commander, not from the Dakota. Tucked into Theodore Wirth Park is a small, remarkable place. On the 27th of April, 1907, the Alois Butler Wildflower Garden was founded, and it is the oldest public wildflower garden in the entire United States. A botany teacher named Alois Butler tended its original bog and meadow as a volunteer, becoming its first curator, and today it shelters more than 500 plant species, a quiet pocket of wild Minnesota preserved inside the city. The milling fortunes did not just build mills, they seeded a lasting culture. On the riverfront stands the Guthrie Theater, founded in 1963 as a bold regional alternative to Broadway. In 2006, it moved into this striking cobalt blue building, with a famous cantilevered walkway, the Endless Bridge, jutting out over the Mississippi. It is one of the most respected theaters in the country, right on the river that built the city. And then there is the music. A downtown club in a former bus depot took the name First Avenue in 1981, and it became the beating heart of what the world came to call the Minneapolis Sound. It was here that a local musician named Prince rose to global fame, and this club was the stage and the setting for his film Purple Rain in 1984. For a certain generation, this unassuming black building is hallowed ground. For a city its size, Minneapolis has sent a remarkable amount of talent out into the world. A young musician named Robert Zimmerman played the coffee houses of Dinkytown, just up by the University of Minnesota, before he left for New York and became Bob Dylan. The classic Mary Tyler Moore Show was set right here, and to this day, a bronze statue on Nicollet Mall catches her tossing her hat in the air downtown. Add Prince and the whole Minneapolis Sound, And this river city has always punched far above its weight in music, film, and art. And more than anything, Minneapolis is a city that lives outdoors in every season. It is consistently ranked among the most bike-friendly cities in America, and you can feel why, riding a trail like this one. In summer, the chain of lakes fills with paddlers, swimmers, and cyclists looping shore to shore. And when winter comes, the city does not hide from it. People lace up skates and glide across the very same frozen lakes, or ski the park trails under the snow. Cold or warm, this is a place that gets outside and moves. So look at what we have ridden through today. A Dakota homeland, the only waterfall on the Mississippi, a lumber capital, then the flour milling capital of the world. A city stitched from two rival towns, wrapped in 50 miles of parks and a chain of lakes, and carrying both its triumphs and its reckonings. Nearly 430,000 people now live in the city the falls built, Minnesota's largest, endlessly reinventing itself on the banks of the Mississippi. Thank you for riding along with me. If you enjoyed this one, subscribe to Fru World Explorer. There are new trails every single week, and come along on the next ride. See you out there.